Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining me tonight, Gaurav Bhatia, national spokesperson of the BJP, Smita Prakash, editor ANI, Ratan Sharda, author, Anirban Banerjee, political analyst. But my first question goes to Mr. Garga Chatterjee, political analyst, supports the Trinamool Congress. I want to ask you, Garga Chatterjee, ki hocche? Is this a civilized state where we see innocent women and children being burnt up, charred to death, and there's no police that is available for 90 minutes? Fire tenders take 2 hours to reach. And then it's called a conspiracy. Look at UP, look at other states. If somebody sneezes in Bengal, questions are being asked, people move court. I want to ask you, Garga Chatterjee, death of 8 people should be compared to a sneeze?
Whoever gave you that comparison, that this specific incident was being compared to a sneeze, you should double check who is doing this translation. It had nothing to do with this incident, firstly. It was to do with the long history of kind of center state or BJP, Trinamool, whatever is going on. So please, that's a different issue. Let's not spin this. It's a very, very tragic event. It is a horrendous event which happened. And I hope whichever party they belong to, Trinamool or BJP or whoever, whichever party they belong to, they are brought to the books. I should not say I am glad, but at least the OC has been removed, the SDPO has been removed, 20 civic police officers has been removed. So within 12 hours, 11 arrests have happened. So there is some progress, but nothing condones the event, the danger, the horrendous event, which you very graphically put, and it should be put in those graphic terms only because it was a horrendous event. Also, this is also a moment where if it's a CBI probe, okay, or if you were calling for a CBI probe that you asked at the end of the question, then there should be really some parameters on which question the CBI probe is asked. Why I'm talking about politicking? Because I do not remember this channel calling for CBI probe for anything which has happened in a BJP ruled state, ever.
You want me to send you all the links of all the debates on...
Yes, I want you to know. I don't want you to send me. Just put it up right here.
So I'll send them to you because...
No, don't send me. Put it up right here so that everybody can see.
Email.
No, nothing private.
Garga Chatterjee,
it is not a private affair.
Garga Chatterjee, allow me on my own show to ask you a question.
No, but it's not a private affair.
Is this an examination and an inquiry on me? Is this a question that should be raised on what happened in Birbhum? Exactly. I ask your conscience that question. And number two, also, you know, while you are glad that 11 policemen have been transferred, while you are glad that some people have been suspended, I want to ask you, and Garga Chatterjee, please listen to me. No, please listen to me. Please listen to me, Garga Chatterjee. While you are celebrating the suspension and the transfer of some, I am asking you the question. Where are the eyewitnesses? Where are the eyewitnesses and where were the policemen? Do not...
The editor of ANI will be doing different things. Somebody will go to a party. Somebody will go to this. So don't do this strange conscious business. Talk on facts. Please talk on facts. Don't do drama. Talk on facts.
Dada, drama I leave to you. Because you're very good at it.
You have to do whatever
I am asking you a question on facts. Where are the eyewitnesses tonight, Mr. Garga Chatterjee? I'm only asking questions which is within my right as a journalist to do. Where are the eyewitnesses? Where are the eyewitnesses? For 90 minutes, where were the policemen? Can you
again.
give me answers to these two questions?
Yes, I can. Please give me the time.
Yes.
Give me the time.
Yes. Go.
Can you report from the NCRB what is the average time of reaching to a police to a incident of happening in a remote village? 90 minutes, I think it should be 60 minutes, it should be 30 minutes, it should be immediate. But I think every person who watches this channel or any TV channel in India should understand, should ask themselves, a remote village police is reaching in 90 minutes. Is that very odd? Is that very weird? Is that not in keeping with standards we have everywhere in India? So if that is true, then from where is Navika Kumar or anybody else deriving their standards?
Mr. Garga Chatterjee, allow me, indulge me. I
am nobody to allow. It is your channel. You do whatever you want to allow.
Kindly spare.
Put up the proof.
1 minute. Kindly spare 30 seconds and listen to this lady. Listen to this eyewitness who made. This was the eyewitness, and this is what the eyewitness had to say. Not in my words, in her words, in chaste Bengali. Please listen to her.
আগুন জ্বলছে তখনই ঘর খেলাম।
হ্যাঁ, তখন এসেছেন।
হ্যাঁ,
কি দেখলেন?
ওই যে আগুন জ্বলছে, চিৎকার। হ্যাঁ, একবার শুনেছি।
একবার শুনেছেন? এতগুলো মানুষ ঘরের মধ্যে ভিতরে জ্বলে পুড়ে মরে গেল, আপনারা কেউ আওয়াজ কিচ্ছু শুনতে পান না?
আওয়াজ পেলে কি করব, কিছু করার নাই তো।
পুলিশ কখন আসলো?
পুলিশ তখন আসেনি।
কতক্ষণে এসেছে?
পুলিশ আসছে ধরেন সকালে, এদিকে আসেনি পুলিশ, রাতে পুলিশ আসেনি।
Gaurav Bhatia ji, I want to ask you. You heard the statement of the lady from the same village, and she says the police came the next morning. I want to ask you, Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, by raising the voice, can people raise arguments on what really happened that night in Birbhum?
Navika, when you have strength in your arguments, you don't need to raise your voice. And let me make a few things very clear. According to the Constitution, law and order is a state subject. And we have seen how Mamta Banerjee, not just this one time, even in the past on 2nd of May, failed miserably. And she was reprimanded by the Calcutta High Court. And the investigation then also was handed over to the CBI. What makes it worse this time is that she feels that sneezing is equivalent to the lives of 10 innocent citizens who are living in West Bengal. The protector has become a predator. And the saddest part is the police doesn't act. And the spokesperson here was saying the reaction time of 90 minutes is adequate. Let me tell him it's not just the police that did not act. It is also the fire personnel who wanted to help the victims, but they were stopped from actually entering these houses and protecting the lives. Why is this happening? It is happening because law and order is a casualty in West Bengal. There is rule of anarchy. Mamta Banerjee, she tries to protect the perpetrators of crime rather than punishing them. And I am not saying this. The Calcutta High Court has said this. I just want to say one thing. When you come out and your leaders come out, even before an investigation is conducted, and one of the leader, Anubrata Mondal from TMC said, this is nothing but a blast from a television set that has burned down 5 houses and has taken 10 lives. Are you not trying to cover up the entire incident? Then comes the Calcutta High Court again, and it's suo moto. Navika, it is very important. Suo moto becomes the protector yet again against the elected CM who is trying to be a predator. And they have asked for the case diary and a report within 24 hours. They have also said give adequate security to the witnesses. They have also directed that CCTV footage should be available for the entire period now. What does it show? Lack of confidence in the elected government, and the people of West Bengal are already regretting that they have elected such an anarchist. On the other side is the opposition party, the BJP, that is fulfilling its obligation under the constitution. The Prime Minister has spoken very clearly and has assured that there would be a fair probe and speedy justice. The Home Minister Amit Shah ji met a delegation yesterday. There is another delegation that headed to West Bengal to take, the exact version from the people there. And I must say that at this juncture, Mamata Banerjee needs to introspect. There cannot be lawlessness. Political rivalry is fine, but West Bengal cannot be subjected to such treatment.
And I want to ask Anirban Banerjee. Anirban Banerjee, the suo motu evidence, the suo motu notice that the court has taken, number one. Number two, Election Commission had asked similar questions last time when the elections were on, around the same time last year. And I have a letter of 3rd April that was written by the Election Commission. I want to ask you, Anirban Banerjee, the Election Commission was a problem then. The courts, a problem today. Will fault be found with those who ask questions, or will fault be found with the manner in which law and order is maintained in the state of Bengal? And I honestly implore all of you, if you have access to those videos, and you're in Bengal, maybe you do more videos than we do. They're not even something that can be put on screen. See them, because if that doesn't wake up your conscience, nothing will. And I want to ask you, Anirban Banerjee, just political rhetoric, is that the answer to what happened in Birbhum?
I'll give you what the answer is. As you said, will faults be found with anybody that asks questions or not? No, I'll say there will be a simple biodata check of somebody who is asking a question, only to ensure what the exact motive of that person is. If Navika, you are asking a question, I am glad to answer. But when Gaurav Bhatia asks a question of this issue, I am compelled to also introspect and let people know that he is the very man from the same party whose minister, Mr. Amit Shah, was in charge of the Delhi police when the Delhi police was aiding and abetting the rioters from the BJP when more than 50 people were killed in the national capital. Therefore, if Mr. Gaurav Bhatia is asking a question of this incident, I must rebut with facts that in this case, in less than 12 hours, just a minute, Mr. Bhatia, in less than 12 hours, there were some actions taken from the highest level of the administration. The investigation is ongoing. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody has ever said whatever has happened is a very good thing. But contrast it with what happened in Delhi, that BJP leaders were actually rejoicing. They actually termed those who were killed as terrorists, as jihadis, as Islamists, as Pakistanis and what not. Therefore, when you ask a question, Navika, we are glad to answer, but when Gaurav is asking a question, we must also remind people of those string of horrifying incidents that the BJP has been involved in.
What took the police so long to come?
Whether it be the Gujarat.
I don't want a sermon. I don't want a sermon, Anirban Banerjee.
What should I consider?
I only want to ask you a question. Why the police takes more than 12 hours to come? Who are these people who ransack, who just lock women and children and burn them? I want you to answer that question. I want you to answer that question.
Whoever they were, Navika, no. I am answering every question possible. Whoever they were, who were behind this incident, they must be brought to book. They must be given an exemplary punishment. Unlike Mr. Anurag Thakur or Kapil Mishra or Parvesh Verma of the BJP, who are behind the Delhi riots and are simply roaming around and are getting higher and higher rewards by the Honorable Prime Minister every time.
I don't know where is the similarity between the two, but Gaurav Bhatia, respond to Anirban before I get in Mr. Ratan Sharda.
You know, first of all, when we are discussing West Bengal, if they had any merit in their arguments, they would be discussing West Bengal, reassuring every viewer of Times Now, citizens of West Bengal that speedy and strict action would be taken against the perpetrators of crime. They're trying to create an artificial equivalence, but I would only say that any incident that they refer to, never has a chief minister
Mr.
of a state
Bhatia,
or
were there people who lost their lives in Delhi 2020 when Mr. Amit Shah was in charge of the Delhi police?
Can you be quiet
Yes
now?
or no? What is the false equivalence,
I think I
sir?
extended you
Why are
some
you so
courtesy?
uncomfortable
You
speaking
can do
about
the
the
same.
communal riots of Delhi
You can
or
do the
Gujarat?
same.
Why are you
You
so
can
uncomfortable?
do the same. Please extend me the same courtesy. Navika, please ask him to be quiet.
Anirban
He got
Banerjee,
his
allow
turn,
him to
but
make
he
his
was more
point.
interested in
Nobody
commenting on
disturbed
me.
you. Nobody disturbed you, interrupted
Of
you.
course he is making his point, but you are allowing him
allowed
to
you
run
to-
away from the uncomfortable question.
I allowed
while
you
I am
to-
facing each and every.
I
am
allow-
facing each and every question you want
Well,
to ask
let
of
me be the judge
But why
of that.
are you letting him run
One
away?
minute, Anirban Banerjee. Anirban Banerjee, you made your point. Allow Gaurav Bhatia to respond, and then let me get in Ratan Shah.
You know, Navika, the facts speak for themselves. The Calcutta High Court has suo motu taken cognizance. Earlier, CBI investigation was ordered by a 5-judge bench of the Calcutta High Court when there were murders and rapes. 84-year-old woman was subjected to violence during elections. And they question us. I would only say one thing. If Mamata Banerjee has the courage, she should give the same statement before the Honorable High Court stating that this is a conspiracy to destabilize the government. She is not taking the responsibility that innocent citizens have lost their lives. And I think it is very shameful on her part that she failed in her constitutional obligation, and then she is not even coming out to say that this is wrong and we will ensure justice. So it is like adding, salt to the wounds of the victim.
Maybe Mr.
But Mamata
Bhatia,
Banerjee,
maybe
the
Mr.
anarchist that she is,
Bhatia
I don't
is lacking
think
information.
she would learn her
He
lesson.
should be more informed as a spokesperson
You don't have
of the
to
party.
engage with me, please.
He should be
You are
more
below-
informed.
You are below my
I don't
standard
even want to engage with you. I don't want to engage with you. You are right.
Let's not get into personal name calling, please. Allow me. We are fighting a cause, a plight of common people. Let's not get engaged in just political brownie points or personal ego issues. I want to dwell on the issue of what happened that night in Birbhum, and I want to ask you, Ratan Sharda, I want to ask you, does the question of Birbhum get a response of what happened in Lakhimpur Khedi? Should it only end at what happened in Unnao? Should it only talk about Uttar Pradesh? The question is about Bengal. Of course, every other question must be asked, but that cannot be response to a question of why children were burnt alive, women were burnt alive, 8 people burnt alive. And I continue to go back to those videos because they are disturbing. And if you've seen them, Ratan Sharda, you know what I'm talking about. I want to ask you, is it going to just end in BJP versus the Trinamool Congress and some more political brownie points that are being scored, or are we going to go beyond it?
In 75th year of our independence, it breaks my heart when a social violence, when a uncalled for pervert violence happens on any community, any person, we end up fighting on 2 sides. Are there 2 sides to such a horrendous crime? There are no 2 sides. And I would not ask question to these people because these people feel offended. I ask myself, why have we reached the situation where such violence ends up in shouting matches on the TV studios? It happens because the chief minister sits on dharna to protect a police officer. It happens when these people come on TV and they try to deny, they try to wave their hands off when Dalit bodies are found hanging on the trees. They deny entire electoral violence when they say, hua nahi hai, politics hai. Women were raped, people are killed, houses were bulldozed, ponds were poisoned, and whatnot. I mean, all this, if they come here and publicly say all this is bakwas and we will take care, then High Court has to come into picture. When police stations are manned by political people who don't allow action to be taken, who don't allow FIR to be filed, When police knows that they are only going to listen to their political bosses, law and order will go for a toss. And when that happens, poor people suffer the most. The TMC, which is supposed to support the poor, they have done the worst for their poor. And we say Bengal is a land of violence. We say Bengal mein aisa violence hota hai. Is this an excuse? Didn't TMC come to change the society, change the politics? Are they denying that they will no more do it? They will point fingers at Hathras or anywhere. That is politicization. When your secular leaders go to Hathras, they don't go to Rajasthan. They don't go to any other place. They come here, shout on TV. You people come here and speak all the brave words. You try to instigate the anchors. You try to mount various allegations on people who speak about it. That is when you lose the plot, when the bravado of Mamata Banerjee is going to haunt her for a long time. And I think this debasement of entire political culture must stop. It doesn't matter which political party, and these people feel that they are being cornered here. I think because they carry a guilt, because they kept quiet during poll violence, they kept pre-poll violence, they were kept quiet, and they have tried to cover up. Their own workers were attacked, they kept quiet. Today their own workers are killing each other. They are quiet because they are trying to brush it away. This denial is the biggest crime that they are doing.
Well, Smita Prakash, I want to ask you this. When Mamata Banerjee points to a political conspiracy, do you think there is a conspiracy to put her government on the back foot? Do you think that can be an explanation of this inhuman act that we've seen in Birbhum?
It's not just inhuman. I mean, it's a carnage. It's barbaric. It's nothing short of that, and it's a blot on Mamata Banerjee's tenure. She should take immediate action and not be seen as someone who's trying to perhaps shield the guilty by making statements about conspiracy. These kind of statements about conspiracy just gives the impression that she's trying to shield somebody. There's no need to do that. Come out and clearly take action, pointing fingers at other states, saying Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, all these things. It doesn't give relief to those who are suffering. The Trinamool has to completely take away the political aspect away from this. I mean, they should not talk to her about the BJP or communists. They are non-existent in that area. In local elections in that area, the opposition had withdrawn their nominations because of fear of gangsters who have the support of the TMC. I mean, the post-poll violence which everybody has been talking about since 2021, it's a legacy of bloodletting of politics of Bengal, which Mamata said she's going to do away with. But nothing has happened. I'm sorry to say, this is beyond the stage of Gundaraj now, and it's very easy to say, ye Bihar ke log, ye Uttar Pradesh ke log. But the fact is, I'm sorry, I have friends, of course, who will deny this, but the snobbery of politicians and intellectuals of Bengal who point fingers at other states and other political parties of other states, they should just look in. I'm sorry, but this is endemic to Bengal, and it's been endemic to Bengal for a long, long time. So for you to claim that this is not the legacy of Bengal, no, it's not. It is the legacy of Bengal, and your chief minister was supposed to change that. And the Union Home Ministry asking for a report now. Does anybody think that Mamata Banerjee is going to comply with what the union government is saying? You just showed pictures of your reporter, including our reporters, every channel's reporters there. A forensic team is reaching that place to do forensics. But where? The reporters have gone all over the place. The villagers have gone all over the place. There's no sanitization of the crime area. So what investigation, what forensics is going to be done?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, Smita. And I want to ask Garga Chatterjee. Garga Chatterjee, have you seen the videos? Have you seen the policemen with their bare hands picking up remains of dead bodies, putting one on top of the other, putting sheets over it, all with their bare hands? So any forensics that you were expecting to get, and they're walking all over the place, there is no cordoning off the area, nothing that I can see in some of the videos that I've seen. Garga Chatterjee, I want to ask you, if there is, I mean, first, an inhuman act of a carnage of this kind happens, and then in the name of investigation, if this is the way investigation is going to be conducted, do you think any justice is going to come out of it?
Look at the history of various high-profile incidents that have happened in Bengal. Say the Kamduni rape incident. There has been prosecution. Let's look at the Park Street rape incident. There has been prosecution. Various incidents. So there is good reason to think, especially when within 12 hours, 11 arrests have been made. Unlike what Ratan Sharda said, that there is no FIR. Okay. The SDPO has been removed.
Please,
the IO.
You
the
know
OC
the
has
BJP,
been
RSS people had to struggle for weeks together to get FIRs launched. Don't tell me. FIRs are refused and it took days together to persuade and pressurize people to file FIR.
No,
Don't try to say that FIRs are all. If FIR had been taken up, you won't find time today because at that time you closed your eyes. You did allow all the FIRs to be filed. Gaurav is there, you ask him. He's a lawyer. Ask him what is the effort taken to file a few FIRs.
So clearly Mr. Sharda is talking in general terms. He does not know too much.
No general terms. You want me to give figures? I'll give you figures.
Yeah, when I ask you, okay. So in this specific case, FIR has been
Don't try to brush up your own things by trying to be holier than thou. That is the reason I interrupted. I wouldn't otherwise.
Thank you. Very good English. Okay. So now 11 arrests have been made. And the SDPO has been closed, which means removed from his post.
Mr. Garga Chatterjee, with due respect,
right?
with due respect to you, when you comment with sarcasm on somebody's question by saying very good English.
I'll tell you why, Navika. I'll tell you why there is sarcasm. I'll tell you, these people belonging to RSS BJP were calling Bengali Muslims termites, were calling them Uipoka, okay, a few days ago. Now they are doing all this humanitarian business.
So it gave
now they are doing all this humanitarian business.
So Mr. Garga Chatterjee, is your response going to be BJP did this, so I'm doing this, BJP did that, then I'm going to do this, or is it about the people of Bengal? Is it about the people of Bengal at all? Are you a government of the people of Bengal, or are you a government to play a game with the central government? Is it all just a game for you, Mr. Garga Chatterjee? I want to ask you this question.
No, I will answer you directly.
Yes, answer me directly.
I will answer you directly.
Answer me directly.
On this panel, we have Smita Prakash, we have Nobika Kumar, Gaurav Bhatia, Ratan Sharda, Anirban Banerjee, Gorko Chatterjee. Okay? And in half an hour, 1 hour, all of these people will be in a very different sort of mood. The people who are watching this must understand that you are looking at a charade here. Me included. You are looking at a charade here. Okay?
You are doing the charade.
You are
doing the charade, Mr. Garga Chatterjee.
There are people who have been burnt alive, and you are more concerned about our mood.
We speak for ourselves. I do not need to lend your voice to speak about me.
What is this mood?
All right, I'm talking about the people who have died there, sir. And I will ask you this question. There was an situation in Birbhum. Garga Chatterjee, the charade is yours. The charade is yours. Please do not. I am not party to that charade. Smita Prakash, is this a charade for you? Have you seen the video? Can it be a charade for you? Do you think we are some heartless human beings? We are not sitting in political parties only for gains of seats and victories in one or other election, sir. You are in that business. You are in that business, Mr. Garga Chatterjee. Smita Prakash and I are not in that business. If we wanted to be, we would be there. We would not be here asking questions on behalf of children who have been burned to death. For God's sake, it may be a charade for you. It's not a charade for me. Is it a charade for you? Is it a charade for you, Smita Prakash? How dare you? How dare you?
Everybody gets salary for
Absolute.
Everybody here.
It is absolutely shocking that he could talk about the mood of journalists
about
and the
yourself,
mood
Mr.
of
Garga Chatterjee.
commentators when they ask a question.
Everybody
I'm sorry,
is like this
have you
here.
seen the
This is a whole
videos?
charade.
Have you seen the shocking videos?
This is a
We have
natak
not
that
been
do in front
elected
of you
into
every
office.
night.
You people have
I
been
am
elected
part of
into
the natak
office
of
and
this
you are
country,
answerable to
part
the
of the
people.
This
We are not
part is
answerable
part
to
of
the
the
people
drama.
in the
I am
sense of
part of the
having been
drama.
voted to
Everybody is
power.
part of this
We are
drama.
not in charge of law and order in the state. You people are in charge of law and order in the state. You have no business to talk about our mood. You can point fingers about the media. You can point fingers to such an extent that the Congress party now is asking for central intervention in your state. Not just the BJP, even the Congress wants central intervention in your
This is an
state.
anti-Bengali person. This person is anti-Bengal anyways. The person is talking right now.
What do you mean?
Long history of being
No,
anti-Bengal.
what do you mean, Garga
They think that
Chatterjee?
Amit Shah
What are you talking about
Anti-Bengal? You are saying the charade is by us.
putting label
You
on
are
everybody.
saying the
You put
charade is
labels
by
on
us,
everybody.
Mr. Garga Chatterjee. Either take back your words or
No, I
apologize.
did not say that, Navika. Navika, I
You
did not say
said
that.
you named
Navika, I
me,
did
you
not say
named
that.
Smita.
Navika, I did not say that.
I'm not
Navika,
talking
what I
about
said-
Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. He will
please.
fight his own battle because he belongs to a political party. He will respond to you separately. But Smita
all
and
six
I
are part
are
of the charade.
journalists.
All
We
six
are
of the panel
journalists
are part
and
of
we
the
are not
charade.
playing a charade here.
All six are doing natak here in
Mr.
front of
Garga
people of
Chatterjee,
India.
the Beer
All
Boom
six are doing
files,
natak in
the
front
way
of
the
people of
people
India.
have
All
left
six.
from
Six
Beer
are
Boom
doing
from
natak.
their homes is reminiscent of the 1990 Kashmir files that has been shaken up. And that has shaken the conscience of the people today once again. I want to ask you, looks like a charade to you, Gaurav Bhatia? Charade?
All six are doing
किसी को
natak here.
conspiracy
All
लगता
six.
है, किसी को
All six are
charade
doing
लगता
natak.
है. Is this the
None of
answer?
them feel. All six are doing
Navika, I
natak here.
hope
They are playing their roles.
Mr. Chatterjey
They are
will
playing their
extend
respective
some
roles.
courtesy.
Mr. Garga
No,
Chatterjee,
we are not
Mr.
doing
Garga
nothing.
Chatterjee,
Everybody is
you
doing
please
natak.
go, you join a theatre.
Unbelievable.
If you are playing a
This
role,
person,
if you are
unbelievable.
playing a
Natak.
role, please join theatre, please act in films. This is not a
I
role
am
we
in
are
a
playing.
theatre right now with 5 other co-actors. I am in a theatre right now with 5 other co-actors.
Navika,
People of
Sir,
India should
this is
understand
very-
So
this.
then I think you are even
You
less
know,
human
disturbing.
than I
Please
thought
ask him to
you
do
were
whatever
at
you
the
call
beginning
me,
of the debate.
Whatever you call me, we are still in a theatre with 6 actors right now.
Bizarre.
Garga Chatterjee, theatre? Is this
Yes,
theatre for
exactly.
you?
Because you will
Absolutely
be talking
bizarre.
something else in half an hour. Right now, when
Eight
the
people
program
burnt
ends,
alive,
you will be talking in a
and it
different
seems
way.
like
In
theatre
2
to
hours,
you.
You will be talking in a
It
different way.
seems like
That is true
theatre
for all
to
of
you.
these people.
It seems
Right
like
now,
theatre to
people
you.
will come
I
to
want
all
you to
of these
put.
people.
I want
They
you to
will talk
put
in a different way.
I want
We
you
do
to
all of
open.
this.
I
People
want
of
to
India
tell
should
my.
also know.
I want to tell my
People of
director
India
to
should also
open the
know.
phone lines for me. Can you put the phone lines on the news hour? Ladies and gentlemen, viewers who are watching this debate tonight, I'm opening up the phones for you. The number is going to flash on your screen in just a minute. I want you to call and I want you to tell me, does this seem like a theatre to you? Because that's what it seems like to Mr. Garga
if you
Chatterjee.
would
It
allow
seems like a
people who do not
charade to
think
him.
it's a theatre,
It seems like a
people who do
theatre
not
to
think
him.
it's a theatre, you would allow
The phone number is on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. And pick up your phones. Tweet to me on News Hour. Tweet to me on Times Now. I'm going to pick up your calls. Is this the worst? Is this the worst cut that we could ever have imagined? I don't even know what to say, Gaurav Bhatia. While I wait for the calls, respond to Mr. Garga Chatterjee's theatre allegation.
You know, Navika, with a very heavy heart, I would say that such people don't deserve a response because we are discussing a very sensitive issue. And, you know, they would not believe us, but for the benefit of the viewers, what Ratanji said, I would like to place a few lines from the judgment of the Calcutta High Court when murders and rapes happened after 2nd of May. Please ask him to be quiet. Please ask him to be quiet. Please, Navika. For the sake of sanity and dignity of these people, you know, I think family members of the deceased are watching your program. This is not acceptable. We can't stoop to their level. They have to be quiet and reined in. Please. From a sneeze to a charade. This is TMC for
I
you,
don't
all
know.
the
I don't know how you take this statement of Mr. Garga Chatterjee, calling this a charade, calling this a theatre where he is playing a role. Garga Chatterjee, for God's sake, do not insult humanity.
You know, I would
do not insult
He
humanity in the manner in which you are.
I request you, I beseech you to kick him out of the show for the insensitivity that he has shown. And I would respect you 10 times more. I request you to kick him out of the show.
I want viewers to join in and tell me what they think of Garga Chatterjee, because frankly, it is the people's verdict that matters more. It doesn't matter to them who the people are. Who have lost their lives. Ratan Sharda, bacche mar gaye hain. They have been burnt to death, burnt alive. Can Mr. Garga Chatterjee even imagine what a situation for a mother and a child to be burnt together would be?
No, those cries of help.
I have no words.
Navika,
I
those
don't
cries
know
of
what
help
such
which were coming out from that room when they were locked in.
Insensitivity. Okay, Smita, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ratanji, I'm just interrupting. That those children and those women were locked inside rooms, and they were locked in. There were cries of help coming in from those rooms. And were those cries of help acting? Was that all of us who have seen the videos of that carnage? You think that we are acting when we say that we are horrified with all that? You think anybody can be unmoved with all that? And to say that there was a conspiracy, it doesn't matter whether they were Hindus or Muslims who died in that carnage. The fact is that children and women were locked inside. And you think any of us out here debating are not emotionally disturbed? That we are not? It doesn't matter. And you're saying Bengal hate karte hai, ye Hindu Muslim ka mamla hai, ye BJP TMC ka mamla hai. No sir, this is a question of humanity, and I don't think you understand. It doesn't matter who is in power. For us, for at least journalists like me or Navika, please keep the others aside.
Crocodile tears. Enough of crocodile tears, Smita.
From what I know, all the
crocodile.
people who are killed are all Muslims.
Unbelievable.
So it is not a question of communalization at all. This question of debasement of the human life. When you make such insensitive comments, you are proving what I said in the first instance.
Absolutely, and I have my first caller, viewers calling in. Colonel Dagor on the phone line from Meerut. Colonel Dagor, good evening. And the Trinamool supporter, whatever you call Mr. Garga Chatterjee, thinks this is theatre, that we are playing a role when we debate Bengal tonight. I want to ask you, Colonel Dagor, what would you say to Mr. Garga Chatterjee tonight?
Ma'am, I want to say such a person who is so insensitive, he should not be called on the debate. He is a totally insensitive person.
And do you think, asking questions in Bengal is banned in this country, and every time a question on Bengal is asked, we should
Bengal
also ask a question on UP
India
and Gujarat and whatever?
Think that they can make it a Kashmir. Bengal should not be made as a Kashmir.
Well, Colonel Dagor, thank you very much for joining me. And Garga Chatterjee, I hope you're hearing what viewers are saying. And as I always say, Shivram calling in from Visakhapatnam. Good evening, Mr. Shivram. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour.
I'm Ramarao.
Mr. Ramarao.
Yeah, Garga Chatterjee should be kicked out from the show immediately.
Garga Chatterjee. I'm being implored now, not just by Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, but by the viewers, that you should be thrown out, because if it's a role you're playing, there is no place for you in this panel, because we are not playing a role here. We are asking questions. Mr. Ramarao, would you want to say something to Mr. Garga Chatterjee?
Humanity is the main ground for these people. All people died mercilessly, and people are talking like this. I said government should be dismissed immediately.
Well, thank you, Mr. R.L. Malhotra, joining us from Lucknow. Good evening, Mr. Malhotra. What do you think?
Good evening, Navika ji. I'm Malhotra. I have been to Calcutta. I know Theatre Road is a very prominent place in Calcutta. I have got very good friends, Chatterjee, but you need to throw him out. You need to kick him out. What he's saying, no human being can say so, that a person is so inhuman that he is not able to see what has happened. And he's trying to say theatre.
I agree with you. This is inhuman behavior on display on this channel. Lokesh, I'm being told, joining us from Bengaluru. Mr. Lokesh, good evening. What do you think? Mr. Garga Chatterjee is playing a role?
I'm from Chennai. This is very bad actually that Garga Chatterjee is not really good to be brought under the program. And I feel whatever he says is not right, and he should earn all the right to talk about whenever some undemocratic thing happening in any part of the country. Okay, so we should leave it alone with the Bengal.
And Mr. Garga Chatterjee, who thinks he's playing a role in theatre, and so are we, what would you say to him?
No, that is he's not having any potential to talk on your channel, first of all.
Well,
you should avoid him calling in any upcoming program.
Well, Mr. Lokesh, your advice, welcome, in keeping with the sentiments of our viewers. Mr. Kakkar, joining us from Mumbai. Mr. Thakkar, good evening. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour. Do you think...
Madam, thank you for inviting, taking my call. I want to say very clearly one thing, that
if you could lower the volume of your television set.
Sure, madam, sure.
Yeah, and ask
madam,
your question.
I want to say one thing. I'm listening this, right from 9 o'clock. And I think the way in which conversation is going on, it seems that TMC want to make another Kashmir in Bengal. And people like Chatterjee and Mr. Banerjee should not be invited, or right now they should be thrown out from this channel immediately.
Well, Mr. Thakkar, it's a unanimous call. It's a unanimous call. Pan-India call. Mumbai, Meerut, Lucknow, Bengaluru, Chennai, everybody is calling in and saying, throw out Mr. Garga Chatterjee. That's what democracy is all about, Mr. Garga Chatterjee. That is what humanity is all about. People across the country have given their verdict, and their verdict is that not just your words, Mr. Garga Chatterjee, you are unacceptable to them. Anybody who thinks that this is theatre and we are playing a role is looking at this incident, the Birbhum files, as just another incident. It's a play. It's a theatre. It's a drama for them. They'll forget. Next scene, next act, the old actors forgotten, the children who are dead are gone. And Mr. Garga Chatterjee, I cannot stoop to your level, but thank you, and I will never have you on my show again, because Garga Chatterjee, it is the people's verdict that prevails, and people don't want to see you on a channel as respectable as Times Now. Well, that's the verdict of the people, and I will leave it at that, because questions will continue to be asked here on Times Now. We will continue to ask this question, and anybody who thinks that there will be another Kashmir happening in Bengal, this nation won't let it happen now. Not in 2022. These are not the 1990s. This is 2022. This is a new India. And we, as people of India, will not tolerate this. We will ask questions, and we will get, people of India, the answers. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this debate. Looking forward to having you support our cries for justice for those who lost their lives to this indignity in Birbhum.